Happy New Year! And welcome to episode 9 of Mask of the Slasher. It's January 1st, or it will be when you watch this. And so, of course, we had to do a year-end episode talking about some of our favorite films from 2023. But first, my friends, we get to celebrate with this delightful ribbon candy, which Kristen and I joke about on a regular basis. We refer to it as old people candy, as broken glass shards. It's just an inside joke between the two of us, but I don't think either one of us have ever actually tried it.
No.
So we're going to do that right now. We're going to celebrate the new year with some ribbon candy. Looks delightful too.
I don't know. It's hard. I'm going to go with red here.
Okay, I think I'm going to have... I'm also going to have this other color of red.
Why do people like this?
It can't be good. It can't. There's no... Look at this. There's no way this can possibly be good. It's all hard and sticky and weird looking.
Yeah, it hurts
to
touch it.
There. Cheers. How do I... I'm just going to bring old... I don't know. We're going to break my tooth. I'm just going to lick it.
Oh, God.
Oh, that's not good.
Mm-mm.
It tastes like a...
Oh, God.
It tastes like a... That sucks.
Kind of garbage can.
Oh,
We really don't understand why anybody wants this, but when I decided to buy this for Josh for Christmas, as the joke, I went to a couple different stores to try to find this, and ultimately my mom had to do this because it kept selling out.
Who's buying this stuff?
Yeah, jeez, it's horrible.
Unless you're doing it for a joke like Krista did her.
Yeah, it tastes so bad.
Thank you for indulging us while we tried ribbon candy for the first time and hopefully the last time.
Yeah.
As I have stated at the beginning, we're just going to be talking about some of our favorite movies from the past year. First movie I wanted to talk about was No One Will Save You. This movie was directed by Brian Duffield, who's mostly known as a writer. He wrote The Babysitter, Underwater, and several other movies I'm sure you've heard of. The film stars Caitlin Dever. She lives alone. She is shunned by the town where she lives. She just kind of keeps to herself for reasons that I'm not going to spoil in case you haven't seen the movie. As she's living a very lonely lifestyle, an alien invasion occurs, and the movie just kind of shows how she deals with this alien invasion that's going on. It almost starts off like a home invasion type movie, and then it just kind of, the shit just keeps hitting the fan, you know what I mean? And I don't want to swear on these, but I can't think of a better metaphor in this situation.
The poopy.
Yeah.
The poopy hits the fan.
And what I like about this movie is just how much they do with almost no dialogue throughout the whole film. And I find it's very realistic in that respect because she does live alone and she is shunned by the community. And, you see a lot of movies where people are doing things by themselves, yet they're thinking out loud, basically, or they're talking to themselves. And no one does that. I mean, I talk to myself a little bit, but I'm a little...
All the time.
So anyway, I found it very realistic in that respect and made it really feel like she truly was alone in this situation and made it feel very claustrophobic. So it was just great in that respect, that it was just very, very different from what you'd expect this type of movie to be in a lot of ways. I also liked that all the aliens look different, and that's something that's always kind of bugged me about a lot of these alien movies or UFO movies, is that the aliens all look the same, and it's like, why do humans all look different, but aliens all look the same? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I thought it was cool that there was all these different types of aliens throughout the film. And I really liked the ending of this movie. It ends in a very unexpected way, which once again I'm not going to spoil for you. But I just thought this was a really well-made film, and I think it was only Brian Duffield's second movie that he's actually directed. He's written a bunch of movies, but I thought he did a really great job with this. Caitlin Dever gave one of my favorite performances of the entire year with no dialogue whatsoever. Just her expressions and her body language and everything was just fantastic, and I hope we see her in more horror stuff because I think she's awesome.
Yeah. I'm not a huge science fiction fan, alien movies, it's just not my bag normally. And so when Josh put this on, we both obviously didn't know what to expect at all, and both incredibly pleasantly surprised. We had an arm wrestling match to decide who decided to talk about this. Just kidding, we did. But this movie, it was so different. It was so different, and it felt like it could be real. Mm-hmm. I think that was the scariest part of it, and the chick just couldn't get a break.
No,
just could not get a break. So definitely recommend this if you haven't watched it yet. Do you remember where we watched it?
Hulu. It was a Hulu exclusive, I believe.
There you go. The movie I'm going to talk about next is Huasera, the Bone Woman. This movie also was released in this last year. You'll see conflicting information. I don't know if it was released.
Well, what I saw was that it was it premiered at Tribeca in 2022, but it didn't actually receive a wide release until 2023. So in my opinion, that makes it a 2023 movie.
Exactly. Yeah, because I wasn't at Tribeca.
Right.
And it was like February 16th, so it was right at the new year. Mm. This movie is based off of a figure in Mexican folklore called La Huasera. This is basically a woman who collects bones in the desert, and it's basically discarded bones of animals, and she basically reassembles them, and she sings, and they come back to life. Apparently she has more of a leaning towards wolves. I couldn't find out why for the life of me, no matter how much research I did. So if you know, please let me know, because I'm very curious why wolves of all things. So that's the basis of this. It's not really indicated in the movie, but when I was doing my research for this video, I decided to look into all this, and it was very interesting to me, because I think a lot of Hispanic folklore is incredibly interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
So what the story is, it's a younger couple. Seems like we watch a lot of movies with younger couples. Mm-hmm. They're vulnerable. Yeah. I think that's what it comes down to. So, and she came from a different lifestyle when she was younger. She came from the local punk scene, and just was kind of a hellion, shaved head, the whole thing, whatever. And she basically settled down, and from what I can tell, it's based on just society pressures and family pressures, and just a traditional lifestyle. Yes. So in the movie, they were trying to get pregnant, and she does. And although she puts on a good front, say, oh yeah, I'm excited, you can tell that there's some doubt in her mind. She can see where she's finding out that her past life of the punk lifestyle and her hobbies, which are pretty detailed. She's basically an artist and a carpenter, and that's a pretty big deal. And she's having to put all of that away, literally and figuratively. Mm-hmm. And she's kind of just going through a thing. Yeah. She's going through, some second guessing. She's got a family that's not very supportive of her, all except for her aunt. Mm-hmm. And she starts to see a figure that it's really creepy, but the bones pop and crack and things like that. But the creature does not have a face. And that's basically all I'm going to tell you about this stuff, because it really unravels quickly after that point. Yes. This is not a slow burn in any way. This is very quick.
No, it escalates.
It does, very, very fast. And it's such an interesting story, and it's so different from anything that we had watched. Mm-hmm. And the fact that it portrayed a woman that was in an alternative lifestyle, I think that was absolutely interesting.
Yes. Yeah, and I would just say, and I the actress's name escapes me that played Valeria in this movie. Yeah. This is another one of my favorite performances of the year, just because her anxiety and fear just felt so real.
Yes.
And her facial expressions were incredible, and her body language throughout the whole thing was just fantastic. It was just such a committed performance. That I was just blown away by it, quite frankly.
Yeah, I even think that if there wasn't subtitles, still would have totally been able to put the whole thing together because of her acting skills. I think that the entire cast did an amazing job. And it was like, oh, okay, I get it. Because even though that there's subtitles, there's still some, sometimes the language barrier is not, they don't meet.
It doesn't always translate.
Yeah, exactly. So, I did forget to mention the director's name. It is Michelle Garza Cervera. I don't know much about her.
I don't either, but I'd like to see more from her, and I'd like to see more from the lead actress in this movie both, because they both did a fantastic job, in my opinion.
Absolutely. So, in the last part of this movie, I just have to say it was an incredibly satisfying ending. And obviously, once again, I won't tell you about it, but watch it, really pay attention to the cues in the movie, and you'll just start to put little pieces here and there together, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I get it, but this is definitely a movie you have to pay attention to.
Give it your undivided attention.
Yes.
For sure. The next movie I'd like to talk about is Evil Dead Rise. This was directed by Lee Cronin. He also wrote the script, and he has only done one other movie. It's called The Hole in the Ground. I have not seen it, so I couldn't tell you much about that one. But I was very skeptical of another Evil Dead sequel. The 2013 remake, reboot, whatever you want to call it, didn't do a whole lot for me. I waited for it to come on streaming, and I was very pleasantly surprised by this movie. Lee Cronin did an excellent job with it. My whole thing was kind of, no Bruce Campbell, no Sam Raimi, no dice, kind of thing. But I thought he did a fantastic job in making this movie. It feels like a Sam Raimi movie as far as some of the camera work and the angles and things of that nature. But yet he still puts his own spin on it. I like the fact that they got away from the isolated cabin in the woods and brought Evil Dead into a city setting. They brought it to Los Angeles, which I thought was a very cool idea. To see the Deadites in another setting, that type of thing. The acting is excellent in this movie. It basically revolves around two sisters that are kind of estranged from one another. The one sister, Beth, is she's like a touring guitar tech. She finds out she's pregnant, so she's kind of like, struggling to decide what to do next. She comes to her sister to kind of get a little solace out of her. But of course, all hell breaks loose. There's an earthquake, and one of the kids goes down into this kind of like secret basement or secret vault that gets uncovered by the earthquake. They find the Necronomicon, of course, and some recordings, much like in the original Evil Dead. The incantations get played. All hell breaks loose. I don't want to say much more about it than that. But I will just say the special effects in this are everything you'd want from Evil Dead as far as it being gross.
Yeah.
That type of thing. It's just a really vicious, really gory, fantastic movie, and it does the Evil Dead franchise proud. I think if Lee Cronin did another Evil Dead movie, we could safely say it's in good hands. I really enjoyed this a lot, and I was so skeptical. And it's always such a joy to be pleasantly surprised when a franchise you love comes back from the dead and it does something really fantastic. So, and I really like this movie a lot.
Rise.
They really did rise.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not just a clever title. They really did rise.
I didn't watch this movie. I will fully admit that. But your description, it makes me rather intrigued. It seems a little more human story as opposed to just comical. And,
it's quite a bit. It's definitely an homage to Sam Raimi and how Sam Raimi does things, but Lee Cronin definitely puts his own spin on it, and I have so much respect for that, to kind of weave in a more human story into it, more than just, we're out in a cabin and a bunch of stuff happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
So,
well, I'll give it a shot.
Cool.
All right, so the last movie, dun 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 dun,
the grand finale,
woohoo, is The Boogeyman. Woo! I'm a big fan of Boogeyman movies, like Freddy Krueger kind of stuff, and that kind of, because, well, we've all been kids at one point. We've all been scared of something in our room. Yes. I still don't like the dark. Don't laugh at me. Josh still has to close the closet every night because the Boogeyman is, in fact, in that closet.
You do not want the closet monster to get you.
No, no. And I don't look in mirrors when I go to the bathroom at night. Nope. The Boogeyman was a short story that Stephen King wrote. It came out in 1973 and was republished in 1976 in a book full of short stories called Night Shift. I don't have a copy of this. I tried to get one. Didn't get it. I'll get it at some
We
point.
do try to research these things, folks.
Yes, like real stuff. Tried to go to a library to get it, and they didn't have it, which is weird. The story was about a father and his two daughters, and recently they had lost both their wife and mother in a car accident. So we're starting off with a grief-stricken family and trying to get through that and just get back to normalcy.
Right.
And as we could imagine, it would be very difficult. This is the first day back for the daughter, who is in high school, who is played by Sophie Thatcher. You would have seen her in Yellow Jackets. Josh has yet to watch Yellow Jackets.
I watched bits and pieces of it. Was she the kind of rebellious chick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
she is. She's got the gravelly kind of voice.
Okay.
Good show, by the way. Definitely watch it. So she's going back to school for her first day. Dad's back to work, which he's a therapist in their own home. And he gets a sudden new patient that was just not on the books for the day. And that patient was played by David Dastmalchian. Quite a mouthful for that name there.
And he's in a bunch of things, too.
He's in a bunch of things. Well, he's the Polka Dot Man.
Yes, he is. Interestingly enough, he is in both the DC universe and the Marvel universe, because he's in Ant-Man also.
Oh my god!
And he was in one of my favorite movies, Dune. So.
I bet you he's amazing in Dune. I'm sure he's great, but
It's kind of a small part, and I was a little disappointed by that, actually.
Does he die?
He does.
Oh. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, so he comes in and he basically just kind of dumps everything out and is just like, hey, killed my family.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, once again, the shit hits the fan.
Yes.
There really is no other way to describe that.
Yeah, and it's hard to, this is one that's really hard to talk about without giving everything away, I think.
Yes, absolutely. And so I'm not going to go any further into the story as far as that goes, because it really just unravels into an amazing story.
Mm-hmm.
I think my only complaint about this movie is that once you've seen it, you know what happens.
Right.
I mean, most movies that's the case, but there's never, I didn't find anything new to see when I rewatched it the other day for the video. So I think that's my only downside to it, but I still think it was an amazing movie.
It was good. The CGI wasn't horrible. Mm-hmm. Like, it was fairly convincing, I felt, and fairly creepy.
Yeah.
Sophie Thatcher's performance was excellent, and actually all the performances in this one were really good, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely. I really thought that this movie was going to be slow-moving because it is, in fact, a Stephen King story.
Right.
Even though it's loosely adapted to this film.
Right.
But it surprisingly was not. They did a very good job picking it up. This was very fast-paced. Story came out really fast. Mm-hmm. And they just did a good job of it.
It was good. I would have liked a little bit more explanation.
Yes.
Like I've said many times in this show already, different episodes. The unknown is very scary, yes, but that's my only gripe with this movie.
Yeah.
I could have used just a little tidbit more of explanation,
sprinkle.
just a little sprinkle of backstory in this one.
No, I agree, and I think that's what the thing with the short story, and that's why I wish I could have found it so I could have read it
to see what.
So I can complain about that, like other people probably have, because I think that it did go missing in this, and I bet you I know that the patient in this, he had a much bigger part in the short story. Yeah,
okay.
So that's where that could have been explained better.
Gotcha.
These are all movies that we think just had an element of surprise, because I think that that's what it comes down to with both Josh and I, with movies and music, is that if it isn't something way different, when it even starts to be like, oh, this is just like such and such, and we see such a huge comparison to something else, then we just kind of shut down.
Exactly.
And shut it off.
Exactly.
Yeah, unfortunately. And so these were all very original stories, and the fact that Stephen King wrote this so long ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it took all these years for it to come out.
Right.
But they figured it out. They figured out how to do it and make it a good story.
Yes.
So there is I can't even say the word. There is originality out there.
Yes.
It's just you have to find it.
Right. Absolutely.
And these 4 movies definitely have it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Even with Evil Dead being the basis of yours, you still have a whole nother movie made out of it.
Right.
And they did a great job from what you're saying, which once again I have to watch. But I think that's the biggest thing, is that what surprised us this year, what really stood out. Because this is our year end. Woo! Woo! We're only on episode 9.
Yes.
So we've only just begun. Woo! So what the year brings us, the new year,
yes,
is that we're going to continue. We're going to continue weekly as much as humanly possible.
Right.
We are digging into the depths of our brains to find some new not new shows, but new episodes that are different from what everybody else has been putting out. And so that's why we didn't do a specific Christmas episode.
Right.
This one is probably going to be the most like other people's.
Mm-hmm.
But
I feel like it's, if you're doing a blog or a podcast or anything with popular culture, I think it's important to kind of highlight what's going on right now, as well as to talk about, I love talking about 80s horror. I love talking about the classics. But I think it's also important to highlight what's going on right now and what's current. And I think these year-end lists are a great way to do that.
Yeah.
And plus, that way you can kind of do these more different kind of episodes and spend time on different things. And then at the end of everything, kind of say, hey, these were some great movies that we liked, during the course of that year. So
absolutely. So what I've been planning, Josh might or might not know this, but is that we're going to, in a few months, we're going to do a series of going more specifically into the subgenres of horror, in a sense, to where it's going to be Italian horror, just foreign in general, and just go each episode being focused on that. Because there's some stuff out there that not a lot of people have heard of, and we can highlight it for you guys and talk about it, because it's not what everybody has seen. It's not, we do want to talk about the deep dives from time to time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, as the year continues, I hope you guys continue to watch. We have a great episode coming up next week as well.
Yes.
We have some amazing guest stars.
Yes, special guests.
Yeah, special guests. We're going to have a couch sesh.
Yeah.
And we're pretty excited about this episode. They're a little nervous, but we love them. So we're excited to butter them up with some dinner
some
and
good
alcohol
food and booze and whatever else we can butter them up with.
Exactly. And so, is there anything else you want to say about the end of the year?
A couple honorable mentions that I wanted to bring up. Okay. Thanksgiving, we talked about this already, but that was a phenomenal movie that I think if we hadn't already talked about it in quite a bit of depth in a previous episode, I probably would have had it on my list proper. Mm-hmm. And not a horror movie, but my favorite movie in any genre of the whole year was Godzilla -1. I have to talk about it just a little bit because I just want to say it's unlike any Godzilla movie that's ever existed, and I think people, even if you don't care about kaiju movies, you don't care about Godzilla, I think you could still appreciate this movie just because of the human story that is portrayed in it, and the performances are just fantastic, and it's just got really likable characters, great effects. It's just a well-made movie. It doesn't matter that it's a Godzilla movie. It's just a well-made movie. So, did you have any honorable mentions at all, or no?
Not that I can remember, but We watched a lot of movies.
We did.
I will actually have Josh publish the list from October, since we started this after October.
Right.
Just so you can see everything, which it's pretty comical, really, to read the entire list,
It's
I
a
have
lot.
to say. But I just want to thank everybody for joining us, for continuing to watch us, and the views continue to rise, so that is very exciting.
Yes, we appreciate it.
The ratio of views to subscribers is a little weak sauce. I would like that to pick up. If you could subscribe, I would really,
please
really
like and subscribe, as the kids say.
Yes, please, please, please. And please continue to share it. And we hope that you guys had a good New Year's Eve.
Yes.
I know that we did. Since this is the future.
Yeah. So we're time travelers.
Yeah. Woo. So we hope you guys had a good, safe New Year's, and we will see you next week.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.